I've got a bit of an update of kind of what's been going on with my PIP. But also, I've got a couple of things I wanted to talk about that I've found out along the way that's made the process easier, and kind of like mistakes I've made. I'm putting that in kind of after the update, so stick around for that because they are actually quite helpful. So, as quick as I can, backstory is that I applied for PIP in January 2020. I got 0 points, went to mandatory reconsideration, still went to 0 points, and I did kind of that bit on my own. And then I needed to take it to Tribunal. So I'm currently kind of at the Tribunal stage, which has been going on since about August last year. The original report, because it was a telephone assessment, was a lot like, you said you can do this, but we say you can't, which was absolutely ridiculous because none of it was based on any kind of evidence. It was just them saying, you know, after a 20-minute conversation with you, we think you can do these things, even though it's to do with things like cooking, planning, all that kind of thing. Because I was quite daunted by the Tribunal stage, I asked on the Scope website and I have an advocate helping me out. So that's made the process a little bit easier. I did actually finally have a Tribunal. I'm sure I've spoken about this back when it kind of happened. In February this year, so we're 2021 now. The people on the panel, it very much seemed like they were on my side. It only lasted about 5 minutes because it did get adjourned. I'll talk about that in a second. 3 members of the panel, there was like a judge, a medical expert, and then somebody else from like the disability services. They very much seemed like they were on my side and wanted me to have the best chance. So one of the reasons why they adjourned it is because there was no medical records present, and they did feel that if I had medical records as evidence that it would help my case. So they adjourned it for that reason, but also the judge wanted to adjourn it, and he put through that I am only to have a face-to-face tribunal next because of how stressed the telephone conversation was making me. Because there were so many different voices, and obviously I can't put a face to that voice, so my brain was going haywire. I was going into meltdown after 5 minutes. I was in tears on the phone, and the judge was very kind and caring and said that he did not want me to be put through any kind of undue stress when, you know, there is a less stressful option. So I'm only to have a face-to-face assessment, which kind of goes in my favour as well. So recently I had a call from a Staffordshire court clerk, which I'm not in Staffordshire, so that was kind of red flag number 1. But basically that day they were ringing me at kind of like just after 1 o'clock and was like, so you've got your tribunal at 2, do you know anything about it? And I was kind of like, no, I've not been told anything about this, which was kind of weird because it had been so long obviously since my previous tribunal that recently I was like thinking to myself, imagine if my tribunal actually happened and I wasn't present, like it was a paranoid fear of mine and that I would be awarded with nothing because I wasn't in attendance. So it's become a bit of a paranoid fear of mine, and it nearly happened randomly. Luckily, nobody else on the tribunal, people on the panel, my advocate, nobody had been told. She said, right, I'm going to do conversations and telephone calls and whatnot, and I'll get back to you. So she rang me back and basically was like, right, we're going to postpone it to 2:30. It's going to be a telephone call one, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, who? Hang on a minute. No. We're not doing that though. And I explained everything to her and she was like, okay, let me make more phone calls, I'll get back to you. In the end, the tribunal kind of took place without me, and that was an agreement, because it still kind of had to take place, but it was adjourned so that I could have a face-to-face one. The judge on that panel did have the notes in the file saying that I was to only have a face-to-face one, so he agreed. They didn't need me to be sort of conferenced in for any part of it, which was helpful. So it's adjourned again. But what is good that has come out of it is my doctors are kind of been messing me about a little bit, which my doctors are great, reception staff not so much. I was given, back in February, I obviously contacted the doctors and said, you know, they need these, my medical records. She gave me an email address. I've emailed a few times and I've never received a reply. Now, it's all the legality and to do with GDPR and that under the Freedom of Information Act, you have a legal right to access your medical records. Barring me any way from accessing them is illegal, essentially. After all that kind of happened, my advocate people rang me, somebody there, and she said, right, I'm going to send you a letter because what your doctor's doing is not right at all, and this obviously could affect, you know, your case, and it's court mandated information. So she sent me a letter, and I have taken that to my doctors, which basically says all the legal kind of jargon and all the rest of it. You have to provide them within 28 days, basically a court summons for the information. So I've taken those, and that is kind of where I'm at now. It did say on the letter from the court clerk that they're hoping that it's been moved to obviously a more local court. They're going to give me the first available day, and hopefully, fingers crossed, should be within the next 6 weeks. So I should have got the information to them by then. But if I haven't heard anything in about 2 weeks, then I need to contact my doctors and kind of give them a kick up the butt. That is kind of where I'm at now with it. Just kind of waiting to kind of hear things, but it's nice that it's going. Now, the thing with PIP is that if you apply for it and you are messed about and you end up winning your case, whatever you are awarded, you are awarded that in back payment. So because this has been going on since January last year, so January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, we're in October now, so that is 21 months in total that this has been going on. So far, if I was to win tomorrow, I would be awarded 21 months worth of PIP backdated, which is a substantial amount of money and would change my daily living for the better. So it is definitely worth fighting it if you think that you are in your rights to have this money. It's meant to help out your everyday life if you have any kind of disability that affects your daily living. And what PIP pays for is it's meant to pay for the things to make your everyday life easier. So if you need to pay for adjustments within your house, if you need to pay for a personal assistant, I'm hoping to use it to pay for a cleaner, to buy products that will make my life easier, like a decent anxiety blanket and those kinds of things. It will also, for me, little things like meaning I can afford to have my food delivered to my home instead of having to go out to the shops. So limiting those times when I put myself into situations that cause me a meltdown. So a couple of bits of advice is, firstly, get an advocate. I know people like to do these things on their own and try to be independent, but the thing with advocates is they do this all the time. They know all the right wording to use that we just don't. So an advocate is huge. If I'd have had an advocate from the first stage, it might not have gone past that first stage. I might have been awarded the points and have been getting the money all this time and wouldn't be going through this. The two places to get an advocate is Citizens Advice, and also your local council will have a welfare department. The welfare department is who I've gone with. They've not only given me an advocate, they've filled out all the paperwork and sent it to the court. They're the ones that have been kind of dealing with everything on the phone, so I haven't had to deal with things and sort it out as much. They've done it on my behalf. But they cover all types of welfare, so all types of benefits. So they can advise you on other things, like other benefits that you may be entitled to as well. So well worth contacting them. If you don't, because the details are going to be different for every single council, if you don't know the details, then your local council will have, or your county council will have a generic email address. You can email them, explain you would like help with benefits advice and applying for PIP, and they'll pass it on to the relevant department, who will then get in contact with you. there are companies out there that will try and charge you for these things. Now, citizens advice is free, welfare department is free. You shouldn't have to pay for these things. I believe any company that tries to charge, that offers this as a service, is doing so to take advantage of disabled people, because our places that will help you for free that do exactly the same job, anyone that charges you is basically taking away the money you have the right to, and obviously as disabled people we struggle financially quite a lot anyway. Whether you decide to fill out the forms yourself or not, when describing how things affect you, always describe your worst day, not your average day or best day, your worst day, because PIP are notorious for giving 0 points and you having to fight for it. So limiting the kind of fight as much as possible is the best thing you can do. So describe your worst days. One of the things I found with my assessment and then reading what they put in the report was, when I answered questions yes but and then told how it, so a lot of my problems are obviously, I can technically do some things, but those things have a negative impact on my health. So technically I can go out of the house, physically I can walk, I can go out the house and go to the shop. However, because of the sensory overload that causes me, it causes me to have meltdowns, it causes me to have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, it has a detrimental effect to my depression, those kinds of things. So because I was answering yes but, they were basically just writing down that I was answering yes. They weren't really writing down how it was affecting me, and that's one of the reasons why it came back 0. And it's one of the things that I noticed in the report, is that you say you can't do it, but actually you can do it, because you said in the assessment you can do it. If anyone watching has gone through the process, whether they've been successful or not, if you guys have hints and tips as well, please feel free to put in the comments below to help other people, because it is a notoriously hard process, and the more we can kind of make it easier on each other and learn from each other's experiences, the better. But that is it from me this week, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.